Hello.
Hey everyone.
Welcome if you're new, welcome back if you are not. Today we are filming the Q&A or answering your questions about the renovation. A while ago I asked for some Q&A questions and I did ask for another one a couple of videos back, so I've just compiled all of the questions that everybody's left.
I don't think I've seen these questions, but obviously I've seen ones on the comments, but this is...
Yeah, we've not rehearsed, so if we babble a little bit, apologies. Oh, and also what I just want to say is we are really trying to get to 3,000 subscribers before Christmas. So if you have seen a couple of these videos or you're just tuning in and you like what you see today, please hit the subscribe button. We upload videos every single Wednesday and we really want to get to 3K as our little Christmas present.
Subscribe, you won't regret it.
That gives us a lot to live up to.
Yeah, you need the pressure.
Okay.
Yeah.
We are going to start with some Q&A about Tom and I, which you guys have left, but if you have absolutely no interest in getting to know us and you just want to know renovation DIY, that's absolutely fine. I will put chapters down below so you can skip past anything to do with us and go straight to renovation. And feel free to do that, that is okay too. But let's get cracking. A little bit about Tom and I.
So question number one, where are we from? Do you want to go first? Australia, right?
Shut up. So I was born and raised in South Africa. I lived there until I was about 16 and then moved over to England. We live in a little village, small town just outside of Oxford, or about half an hour from Oxford, but grew up in Port Elizabeth in South Africa and then moved here, did my A-levels, so the final 2 years of school, and have been here ever since.
And I'm from Essex. You probably can't tell anymore, but when I was younger I had like the strongest Essex accent, and then went to uni and completely lost it. But it actually is really beneficial building a house in East London because Martin's only down the road. So
that's very true.
It's, yeah.
Pretty handy. Next up, how did we meet? Do you want to tell him? Do you even remember?
Yeah, how did we meet? How did we meet? So we met at uni, we went to Surrey. I think we met in 2013.
Yeah? What year did we go to uni? 2013?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We met at university in 2013, started dating since 2014?
2015,
2015.
I think. We were friends for a good couple of years first.
Yeah.
And the rest is history,
yeah.
as they say.
And now 6 years down the line, building a dream home. Yeah, it's always crazy to think, like, yeah, when I first met you, that we'd be doing this 6 years later.
It's so weird.
I always, find that quite a funny thought.
It definitely feels like, I think because we met at university, I don't know if anybody else has this if you've been together for a while, I feel like we're playing grown up, like getting a house and doing up a house. I don't feel like we're of the age that we would be doing this kind of stuff, or even at the age that you would buy a house with a partner. I
always find that with big life choices, like set up a business, it's always crazy. It's like, you're the person I met 5 years ago and we're doing so much together. It's kind of cool.
We met
but
8
also,
years ago, not 5 years ago.
We dating for 5 years, okay. What and where did we study? So we kind of gave it away in the last question. So studied University of Surrey, started in 2013, graduated in 2017. We did like a placement year, so kind of extended that university experience for another year, which was good. So we all worked in London and then got to enjoy that last year of student life before going into the real world.
I studied business management and my placement year was at the Walt Disney Company as a revenue analyst, which put me on finance for the rest of my life.
So I studied economics and I did not enjoy it. I loved university, but yeah, my course was so boring, it was so dry. I really wish I studied geography. That would have been my dream, and I should have done that. But then again, I don't think I would have had the experience I had if I did study geography, because I wouldn't have gone to Surrey and met the lovely Autumn.
Adorable. Could you tell us a little bit more about your street food business? Yeah, I think I've gone into it a fair bit in previous videos, but as a short and sweet summary, Pig Out is the name of the business. It is a vegan hot dog business. When we graduated university, or when we were approaching graduation, all of our friends were getting graduate schemes or looking at jobs, and I don't know, we weren't ready for the fun to end or for regular life.
And I think the placement year as well, working in a corporate environment for a year, we're just like, there's more to life than this.
Yeah.
And we really wanted to try to do something for ourselves.
It also helped that our university every single year put on an entrepreneurship challenge, and it was effectively you come up with a business idea, you pitch your business idea, and if you were to win, you get £5,000 to put towards a business of your choice. And we pitched, and we were very lucky to win the prize money, and that basically meant that we had money in our bank account and no need to start a graduate job, and we gave a street food business a go. We were very, very lucky. Tom's parents let us move into their house for, I think we were there for just over 6 months. We've actually lived at their house twice now. They are very, very generous and let us crash despite being in our 20s.
If you have got an idea and you have got a little bit of savings, just go for it and take the risk, because yeah, the risk could really pay off. And yeah, set something up very good for yourself. We started out at little tiny farmers markets, being unbelievably excited when we sold 50 or 30 hot dogs a day, and we've now kind of worked our way up, and we mainly do big music festivals over the summer, as well as corporate events or private parties. So if you have a wedding or a corporate event, or you're going to be at a festival this summer, come find us, because we'll probably be there. Yeah, like Tom said, if we'd never started Pig Out, if we'd never taken the plunge, we'd never be where we are now. We'd never be able to make more than our salaries. We'd never be able to buy a house, at least without saving up for another 5-10 years. So like Tom said, if you've got a little bit of savings and you've got an idea, definitely do it. It's completely changed the trajectory of our lives. It also meant that last year before COVID, we quit our jobs and we were going to travel in the winters and do Pig Out in the summers. It's still something we're thinking about doing. But yeah, it's just, it's completely changed our lives and what we're able to do. And then last and definitely least, how old are we? I'm 28 years old. And no, you're not.
Yes, I am.
You're 27.
Oh. Shit, yeah. Oh, I just got a year. I'm 27 years old.
And I'm 26.
And we don't talk about it very much. Tom's 5 months younger than me, and it's not something we mention, it's not something we're going to mention, it's not something that's going to become a habit in videos. So let's just move quickly onwards. Okay, so that's it for getting to know us. If you did have any more questions, please let us know in the comments below, and we'll just reply to you there. Now, on to renovation.
All right, okay, so how do we balance between our jobs and the renovation?
We don't.
We really don't.
We really do not.
It's hard. It can be really hard at times, especially as well when you've had like a long day at work and you come in and the house is just a tip, and you know there's no end in sight. Like, yeah, renovation when you're doing it yourself takes so long, and you just, yeah, sometimes when you can't see the light at the end of a tunnel, it can make it very difficult.
Yeah, as Tom said, it is overwhelming and it is a lot of work. I think sometimes the vlogs make it seem as though it's happening a lot more seamlessly. I do try and include the bad bits, but it's not so much that things go wrong, it is more just very overwhelming at times. So I don't show us in bed at night thinking, how long is this going to go on, or getting genuinely upset about it, but it does happen. And so that's normal. It's not all high fives and painting walls. Sometimes it is really, really dark days.
We definitely had some low moments, but there's so many major milestones that we've like accomplished. For example, painting the front of the house, plastering all of upstairs, and like stuff like that.
I think that's a pretty good opener as to how we balance it. So first up, having a schedule. I think as with anything, gym, making dinner, if you know what days you do certain things, it takes the thinking and the motivation out. I think it's in the book Atomic Habits. It's a really good book, by the way. It basically tells you that progress is only gained through habits. You don't, if you want to get a better body, or if you want to do a house renovation, it's not just going to magically happen overnight. It happens over a succession of habits that you build for yourselves. So for example, for us, we tend to reserve Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday evenings for house stuff. Not massive jobs, just little jobs, finishing jobs, cleaning up from the weekend. Thursday and Friday to keep ourselves sane. Those evenings are for date night, seeing our friends. Saturday or Sunday, one of those days, Martin will come and we will work on the house from about 8 a.m. to about 6 or 7 p.m. That is the solid day that we get the majority of the work done.
But yeah, sometimes we're on a high and we've got this momentum, then we are just going to continue housework on the Sunday. Sometimes if you don't fancy doing it during the week, then we'll have a week off.
Also, it is okay to be flexible, right? So I had a dinner this Wednesday. We didn't do the house this Wednesday. We had a Pig Out thing come up on a Thursday. So that was an evening of other working. So maybe tonight on a Friday we'll go for dinner. You're allowed to be flexible and you're allowed to move things around. And probably one of the biggest things for keeping up motivation, don't compromise on your entire life to get the house done. There's no point your house taking a year if in that year you see no friends, you don't enjoy life, and you're just down constantly. Much better for the house to take 3 years and you've managed to keep up your relationships and you've had some really good times, you've gone on holidays. I think it's really important. So we've been speaking for a while, basically to keep up motivation, have a schedule, but also be flexible and focus on the small wins. Do not look at the house as an entire job, but look at it at a breakdown of multiple jobs. I'll link down below the current file that we've got, and it is a list of absolutely everything we need to do in the house, and we just look at it line by line. We never look at the whole list, we just look at what comes up next. And remember, and the biggest thing we need to remember is we chose to do this. This isn't something that's been forced upon us, and it's also something that we spent years talking about. We wanted to renovate a house. We were so excited to build a house for ourselves. We chose to do this, and we're very, very aware that we are one of the lucky few that can do it. And so that's what keeps our motivation going.
And I love how much I've learned from it as well.
Yeah.
Like learning so much about building work now. It's like crazy how I just look at houses differently now. I'm like, oh, how do I do this? And yeah, I love that.
We've basically just answered this one, so I'm gonna do it in a little bit more of a succinct way. But how do you deal with the mental exhaustion of having such a long to-do list? Completely relate to that, and it's something.
Good question.
Yeah, it's something that we've struggled with the most, and it's definitely the thing that gets you down the most in a renovation. But like I just said above, the links below for our to-do list. It's looking at it at a task level instead of like the overall job. Another handy thing about the list below is what we then have a couple of columns over are the different work streams that need to happen before that work stream can be done. So instead of looking ahead and being like, fuck, we need to buy carpets, it's not that we need to buy carpets, it's that we need to find a carpenter, we need to buy skirting boards. All of that sort of stuff happens before we need to look at carpets. And so that just forces us to reroute our information and reroute our thought pattern back to the actual task at hand. But yeah, hope that summarizes both of those quite well. And then next up, we've got, what did we look for in a house viewing? So firstly, what did we look for in a house viewing? We looked for London. That was it was our non-negotiable. We wanted to live in London to the point that if we couldn't afford London, we would continue to rent. That was just, we were happy to save up for 5 years, for 10 years to live in the one place we wanted to live. There are only 2 pockets in the whole of London that we could afford, and that is here in this kind of Stratford, East London area we're currently in. And what was the other area?
Plumstead.
Plumstead.
So like South East London.
Is that Wanstead as well?
No, Wanstead's nice.
Oh,
yeah.
Plumstead, South East. Also really good transport links into London, but a little bit like geographically further out.
So what we would do for this is, we'd go on Rightmove and put our filters in. So yeah, our requirements were we needed a 2-bed. It needed to be up to, I think, 425,000. We said that was like the absolute max. And then from there, we would just start clicking on like areas that we wanted to live in. Fortunately, yeah, we're in zone 2, which was really good.
We also started looking, and we realized pretty quickly our options were an apartment or a house. Going back to the pig out thing, we store a lot of equipment in our house. We have a shed full of backup equipment. So it became pretty apparent to us very quickly that if we were to get an apartment, by the time we talk about storage fees for our stuff and maintenance fees for the apartment and a service fee for all of that, we're very quickly approaching kind of monthly expenditure that we didn't want and we probably couldn't afford. So we then chose a house. Choosing a house meant we went further out. Going further out meant we got more space, and that's basically what we looked for.
And then I guess the best way to find a house, because obviously the London market, it's like, for example, this house came on the market on Sunday, we put an offer in on the Monday. So the timings are quite quick. As discussed earlier with the Rightmove filters, I set up an email alert. So anytime something new was added to Rightmove that was in my specification, I would get an email alert, and then I would just click on it, and if it's good, I'd call up the estate agent straight away. It's also really important to reach out to local estate agents of an area you're quite familiar with. So yeah, around the Plaistow area, I spoke to all the estate agents there. And so if any properties came on before they go on Rightmove, because I think it takes a couple of days to go on there, they would let us know. So we'd kind of be the first people to look at it.
We don't live in Plaistow, by the way, but because we spoke to those estate agents, the kind of surrounding area got us covered, which was brilliant.
Yeah, but we actually found ours on Rightmove with an email alert.
In terms of what we're actually looking for, it was within half a mile of the station or like within a 10-minute walk of the station. We wanted something that was great transport links, and that's exactly what we've got. Tom works in central London,
yeah.
I work in East London, so we wanted something that was right for both of us. We wanted something that was also cycling distance to work. For Tom, cycling distance means a lot more miles than for me, which is why we ended up east. Mine's a 5-mile cycle, his is an 8-mile cycle. We wanted it to be near a big supermarket, but also kind of a corner shop or a small shop quite nearby, just for if you forget something for dinner. Outdoor space was very important. We wanted to be near a park, we wanted a garden, we wanted a south-facing house.
No, we didn't want it. Like, everyone wants a south-facing house. I think it's quite difficult to get that. That was just by luck.
A massive benefit. And we wanted a garden that got the sun. It didn't need to be perfectly south-facing, but that was something we cared about.
We saw some north-facing garden houses, and they were really dark inside.
Yeah.
But I think we got quite lucky with ours being south-facing. That was just complete pure coincidence, because it's so difficult to have all these requirements.
And a budget.
And a budget as well, yeah, so.
And then finally, not something that we necessarily looked for, but something that definitely sold us on this house was being near a park. It wasn't until we kind of viewed this house and then saw how close it was to some outdoor space that we realized it was actually something we really wanted.
And yeah, before buying as well, I would always visit the area at night time just to make sure it feels safe. So at night time it can be a very different atmosphere, especially in London. It can be quite deceiving during the day and night. So yeah, always important to check out the house and the area at night time as well.
We also did the walk from the station to our house at night just to see what it felt like, because often both of us, but particularly me, will be walking home at like midnight, and it was obviously something that we just wanted to check out a little bit.
Why did you choose to do a renovation? 2
reasons: adventure and budget.
Well, for me as well, just like I wanted to learn all these new skills. I've seen my dad do it when he built his own house. I feel like this generation, they're not as DIY hands-on compared to the older generations, and I just really wanted to be able to get that experience, and within the year of doing it, I definitely have. Also, we would never have been able to get the house or the space we wanted with the money that we earn or the money that we have. Properties are just going up, and even if we saved up for 10 years, we just thought property would be more expensive, so we wouldn't actually end up better off. So the only way we were ever able to end up with the kind of place that we wanted was to just do it up ourselves. And then you can put your own touch on it as well. Yeah. Also, it's our network, and network's not the right word, but as Tom said, his dad did up their house. He's incredibly DIY and hands-on, and without a doubt, we wouldn't have been able to do it without his support and his help. So just having people that are able to help us meant that doing a renovation was even an option, because again, with our budget, we never would have been able to pay for labor to do all of the stuff that we're doing. Next, did you need planning permission to paint the front of your house? And this has come up a few times. Yeah, and when I saw that, I was like, shit, do we need planning permission to do this? Yeah. So I had to Google it, and no, you don't. Only if it's in a conservation area that you need planning permission, or if it's a listed building. To check either of those things, you can either, I believe, go on your council's website, or you can contact your council directly to find out. So that kind of goes into our next question of, did we need planning permission? No, we didn't. Everything was in permitted development. You can always get a certificate of lawful development to prove that your works was lawful at the time, but it's not necessary. I suppose sometimes people want to know what the difference between like building regs and planning permission and permitted development is. Yeah, I think this building inspector put it quite well to me. He was like, if you are changing the outside of the house, so maybe if you're doing an extension or you're changing the look of it to make it bigger, then you're either going to need planned permission or obviously permitted development. It gives that kind of flexibility of not needing planning permission. But if you're doing anything to change the structure inside or outside, then you need building control. Next question, how to budget? So we don't have a budget, and that's not to say that we have an infinite pot of money. We definitely don't. It's the exact opposite. We are trying to do everything as cheaply as possible, and I don't mean cheaply as in the cheapest doors we can get and the cheapest carpets we can get and the cheapest. What I mean is the lowest cost for the quality that we want. And because we have a very low budget, but we want quality, there's definitely some areas where we have to
compromise. Not doing the kitchen extension was a massive compromise for us. There's little things like, and this sounds ridiculous to even say out loud, but it's like buying Wix trade paint instead of the Farrow and Ball that I see all over Instagram. Like, it would be lovely, but it's not in our budget. Basically, we had a pot of money. We had about £20,000 after the deposit was down on the house and we had our mortgage and everything. That was about the budget that we had. Obviously, this house is going to cost a lot more than that. So we've spent that is long gone. And what we're basically now doing is every single month using everything we possibly can from our salary to keep us going.
But I guess the perk of doing it ourselves and the speed we're doing it is quite slow. It means that, yeah, our salary is coming in faster than it is going out.
Yeah.
So that means where we haven't actually got into any debt yet. We will, and that's where I think we'd use, for example, on the kitchen, we're going to get an interest-free credit card for 24 months, so we can then buy a kitchen with that.
Yeah.
And be able to pay that off.
The big expenses and the thing that's really going to take us over what we can afford is the kitchen and when we furnish the house. As Tom said, we're going to get an interest-free credit card for those things, and that's basically how we budgeted. We saved up more than we'd need, and now that we've used all of that money, we're going really slowly and being really conscious about what we're buying.
And also, like, Facebook Marketplace, and I've said it in multiple videos, is literally so good for materials. It does help having a van, but for some furniture as well, you can get some really good deals on there, so always just look around on there first. There's always people giving away stuff or selling it cheaply, and it's also good for the environment as well because it's sustainable. You're reusing someone else's stuff they don't need anymore. So.
And less ends up in landfill, which is always
exactly.
good. So next we've got when to get a tradesperson and when to DIY. I think this is definitely your area of expertise.
Yeah. Well, it'd be nice to be able to do all the DIY, but you've got to balance up the time and how much time it takes to do stuff.
And your level of skill.
And level of skill as well, yeah, obviously. That as well. So yeah, for us, hanging doors, I think the architrave round doors, you need to get a carpenter in for that.
Skirting, all of that sort of stuff. Anything woodwork.
Yeah, always get a carpenter in. A plasterer as well, where, yeah, they can do an amazing job and it takes a lot of time. Like, our plasterer spent 7 days doing all the way upstairs. I haven't got 7 days in the evenings to do that. Other tradespeople, obviously, usually you need an electrician and gas engineer, because you need it all signed off, but Martin knows how to do electric, so that's okay. Next one, I would also a bricklayer. It's easy just to get a bricklayer in. Prices on these, I usually don't get quoted per job, so I try to get a day rate for it. I think that's, I kind of get a better value for my money that way. But again, you might give them a day rate and they might be really slow, but then you can find another bricklayer or plasterer. But yeah, try them out for a day. If they're fast within the day, yeah, it's better to do a day rate than pay them for the job.
Also, Google is a pretty good indicator as to what you can and can't do. There's stuff that we have looked up, and a YouTube video or a kind of screw fix forum will tell you very quickly whether you can do it yourself or you can't. So to sum up what Tom basically said, anything to do with woodwork, electrics, plumbing, gas safe engineers, anything like that, get a tradesperson. And then anything that is said to be easy, quick to pick up, not that hard, such as electric underfloor heating, hanging plasterboard, painting, any of that sort of stuff, that's when we just choose to do it ourselves. Things like spraying under our floorboards for woodworm, all you need is a compliant mask and the equipment, which we picked up from a garden centre. You can just find out from the internet really quickly what you should give a crack at and what you shouldn't. And nothing is irreplaceable. If you try to plaster and you discover that you are absolutely horrific at it, then you start to look for a tradesperson. But honestly, you learn along the way, and that's what we've been doing.
Essential DIY stores.
Well, you've got the big three, where you're gonna spend most of your time and most of your money at. Toolstation, Screwfix, and Wix. Yeah. It's also because we live in the south of England, and all three of those are less than a 5-minute drive from us, so maybe it's different based on where you live.
And then I suppose, yeah, in terms of the materials, so yeah, Screwfix and Toolstation are great for tools, screws, nails.
You don't say. Tools and screws at Toolstation and Screwfix.
It's in the name. I think for Wix, really good for paint, plasterboard, And then if I was ever going to get timber, don't get it from Wickes. It's so expensive. I would always go to a timber yard to get that. I find that's always a better price there.
Also, as you've seen from the videos, we do pick up a lot of stuff from Facebook Marketplace instead of those stores. It's cheaper. As we said, it's beneficial for the environment, and particularly building stuff, it just ends up in a skip. So go pick it up from somewhere. Go pick it up from someone who's got leftover building equipment from a job, because it's going to end up, getting sent to landfill. You get it for a better rate. You're helping the environment. It's a win-win. And then finally, and definitely the one Tom's the most excited to answer, what are essential tools for a first-time house renovation?
You can never have too many tools. Like, all the tools
but
are amazing.
there is a budget.
Yeah. Well, you obviously need a tape measure. Spirit level, again, is key. Love myself a set of drills. Impact driver is a brilliant standard drill, obviously, and a electric saw. They're the key tools, but yeah, the list could go on. There's so many tools for everything, and power tools are the way forward. So good.
I've told him this since the beginning.
But obviously they're at an expense. So you've got to weigh up how much you're going to use it.
Also, we're very lucky. Tom's dad has pretty much every tool under the sun, but we've obviously had to buy some stuff as well. I would just encourage you, anyone you know that might be a DIY enthusiast, a friend of a friend, a parent's friend. A lot of people have old tools hanging around their garages. So to save you some money, I would, ask around. I think people are usually quite happy to help, particularly if they're a DIY enthusiast. They're happy to spread the love and teach you some tricks. And with that is this video wrapped up. I hope you enjoyed. I hope we answered all of the questions that you had. If you had any more questions, please let me know in the comments below. Or if I didn't get your question or I missed it, firstly, I'm very sorry. And secondly, let me know in the comments below. I will get back to you there. Other than that, if you've liked our little first timers top tips, please like the video. And if you'd like to follow us along in our renovation, actually watching some work get done, please hit the subscribe button below. We put out videos every single Wednesday, and that's it from us this week.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
See you next Wednesday.
See you next Wednesday.